John Fetterman has become Donald Trump's favorite Democrat, which is super intriguing. So let's go through it. All right. For people who don't know, John Fetterman was elected to the Senate as a Democrat from Pennsylvania in 2022. He beat Dr. Mehmet Oz. And Fetterman was coming out of local politics. He was the mayor of a town called Braddock, Pennsylvania, and then he was lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. He was seen as, at least nationally, as a big liberal, as sort of Bernie Sanders 2.0. Bernie Sanders, but in a Bernie Sanders ideology in a 6'8" guy with a goatee and a bald head who wore shorts and a sweatshirt all the time. You know, he was seen by lots of people as kind of the next wave of populist liberal Democrat at the national level, and liberals fell in love with him. Okay. Fast forward to now. So Fetterman was at Mar-a-Lago last weekend meeting. He and his wife were down there meeting with Donald Trump and Melania Trump. He's the first Democrat to go to Mar-a-Lago or meet with Donald Trump at all. And here's what Donald Trump said about Fetterman afterward. He's a common sense person. He's not liberal or conservative. He's just a common sense person, which is beautiful. By the way, Donald Trump's favorite word is either tariff or beautiful. So you're getting one of his two favorite words in there. And Fetterman, when the news broke that he was going to go down there, obviously a lot of Democrats were like, "Why would you do that? We need to totally resist." And he basically said, like, look, I'm not just a senator for Democrats from Pennsylvania. I'm a senator for Pennsylvania. Now, after the meeting, I thought this was also really interesting. So I read you what Donald Trump said about Fetterman, but check this out. So you may, if you're following the news at all, you may know that Donald Trump is saying we need to buy or take over Greenland because China is sort of trying to build there and we need to be there first. Now, Greenland is owned by the Danes. Denmark does not appear interested in selling. Greenland does not appear interested in becoming part of the United States. But here's what Fetterman said after he and Trump met. He said that the topic of Greenland came up, and this is Fetterman. Quote, "I mean, it's pretty reasonable, and I think it's actually strategically a smart thing." Now, that raised lots of eyebrows. So what is Fetterman doing here? Okay, I think a couple things. One, I think that the readout of Fetterman in 2022, that he was just this giant liberal and sort of the next Bernie Sanders or the next AOC, kind of miscast him. I think he's sort of an iconoclast. Iconoclast. I struggle to say that. I think he's the kind of guy who likes to zig when everyone else zags, who doesn't like to go along with the herd, who is willing to kind of buck tradition and trends and popular opinion. So I think some of this is just that we kind of misjudged Fetterman from the start. I think the second thing is he's not an idiot, politically speaking. Donald Trump won Pennsylvania in 2024. Joe Biden won it in 2020. Donald Trump won it in 2016. In 2024, while Donald Trump was winning Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick, the Republican candidate, beat Bob Casey Jr., the Democratic incumbent senator. So Pennsylvania now has John Fetterman, a Democrat in the Senate, and Dave McCormick, a Republican in the Senate. I think Fetterman understands that this idea of just opposing everything Donald Trump does is not good politics for him in a swing state that might be even a little bit more Trumpy than it is Democratic. Now, Fetterman's not up for re-election until 2028, so he's got some time. He doesn't. This is not sort of an immediate problem, right? He doesn't have to suddenly go Trumpy like in the next 6 months. But I do think he is mindful of the fact that he represents a state that Donald Trump won and that just elected a Republican over a Democratic incumbent. So that's point two. Point three is I think that Fetterman looks at the election, not just in Pennsylvania, but nationally, and he thinks this idea of total resistance to Trump, which is basically what Democrats did from 2016 to 2024, didn't really work. That the coalition Trump built in 2024, younger men, 1 in 3 non-white voters. That coalition is something that suggests that this isn't just a bunch of old white guys voting for Donald Trump, cranky old racists voting for Donald Trump, that there's more to it, and that the idea that all Democrats need to do is just be anti-Donald Trump is not good enough, that it didn't work, that Kamala Harris was basically like, well, you're not going to vote for Donald Trump, are you? And people did. By the way, that's the same message Hillary Clinton had. You're not going to vote for Donald Trump, are you? And people did. And that he doesn't want to go down that road. Do I think, as some Democrats have suggested, he's going to switch parties? I don't. He doesn't strike me as a Republican in terms of his belief set. But I also think he is trying to be the tip of the spear when it comes to how Democrats from 2024 to 2029 are going to interact with Donald Trump. Are they going to oppose everything he says and proposes because it's Donald Trump? Or are they going to say, okay, well, this is a good thing, that, like on immigration, for example, Fetterman has been very, I don't want to say in favor of Trump's policies, but in favor of kind of the idea of being tougher on the border than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were. So he might well cooperate with them on some of those things. He has said he may vote for some of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees. I just think he is trying to forge a new path for Democrats, which is total resistance doesn't work, particularly if you represent a swing state in the Senate. And I think he is an intriguing guy to do it because he looks so different than everyone else in the Senate. He's a 6'8" bald guy with a goatee who wears cargo shorts and a big black hoodie most days. His background is different. The way he talks is different. He's openly struggled with mental health. He checked into Walter Reed to deal with his mental health, depression issues. So he is kind of a different figure. He is not cut from the same cloth that most of the people, Democrats and Republicans in the Senate, are cut from. So to me, he's intriguing. I don't question his motives. I don't think this is only for politics. I think he sort of believes that there's got to be another path for how Democrats interact with Donald Trump, and he's going to try and forge it. I'm keeping an eye on him. I think he is, I've mentioned already, I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the most interesting Democrats to keep an eye on in this next year or two. Put Fetterman in that category too. I don't know what the future holds for him. Does he want to run for national office? Could he win a Democratic primary for president? I don't know any of those things, but I am intrigued by him and the moves he is making because he, I think, is breaking with the orthodoxy of the Democratic Party over the last 8 years, which is if it's an idea that Donald Trump has, it is by nature a bad idea that you cannot cooperate with. So keep an eye on Fetterman. I know I will. As always, I ask you to do 4 things with these videos. I ask you to subscribe. Sorry, that was weird. Little glitch. I ask you to like this video. I ask you to subscribe to this video. I ask you to comment on this video. Do it for the algorithm. And I ask you to tell 10 friends about this video. I'm in my car. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, as always on Fridays, I am doing a live stream. So come with your questions, come with your thoughts, come with your critiques, and bring it. Thank you. Sorry about that it's like on the Nixon tapes where there's that little lacunae, little break in the video or the audio. That's what happened. All right, everybody, take care.